One of the main reasons why I keep coming back to Skyrim after so many years is its incredibly detailed world space. Skyrim's map contains hundreds upon hundreds of individual locations for the player to explore, including many unmarked locations that reward exploration away from the main roads and settlements. Last year I posted a video of 20 of my favourite and most memorable unmarked locations in Skyrim, and in today's video I will cover 20 more that help build this wonderfully rich world. I hope you enjoy. First up in my list is a location that takes us to the far northwest corner of the map, and this location is in what is probably one of the most sparsely populated regions within Skyrim. That is the coastline that runs along this upper edge. To find this location, simply head southwest from Northwatch Keep, and eventually you will come across this camp here. Nothing too exciting about an uninhabited campsite, right? What makes this place unusual, and why I selected it for my list, is the absurd number of clams here. If the player takes all the fresh ones that haven't yet been collected from the shoreline, and then all of the ones gathered in this crate, and don't forget this one here too, it'll net you well in excess of 30. Does the player need all these clams? Unlikely. In survival mode they are a light food source, but their main issue is the lack of recipes. You can make clam chowder, but it requires the harder to acquire butter, and it gives the exact same boost as potato soup, which is one of the easiest recipes to make in the entire game. Still, I found this place interesting because of the abundance of one of the lesser used items in the game, and because there is so little down this corner of the map. Number 2 on my list is still within the hold of Hafengar, and we are now stood outside of Lost Echo Cave, southeast of where we just were. To find this location, head northeast along the path until you come across 2 small stone structures here. Now turn north along the snow to find the ruins of an ancient fortification. As you approach, you should see traces of blood splattered on the ground, and a random predator has taken up residence in this old tower. There isn't much of note inside the fortification, save for one body of a soldier which will always carry a lockpicking skill book. On the outer wall though is a cage carrying one unfortunate inhabitant, showing that this fortification was potentially a prison of some sort in the past. Some punishment, eh, to be left here to die? On a clear day you can get a brilliant view of the Sea of Ghosts from up here, including Castle Volkjar in the distance. The next location on my list is our last in Solitude hold now, and we have headed further east and are stood outside of the Thalmor Embassy. To find this location we first need to head east down the stone path, and then turn north up here. And what is here appears to be a small ancient Nordic burial shrine of some sort, slowly disappearing back into the earth. On its right column there is always a random levelled weapon, along with a few burial urns. But if you scale the steep terrain behind this ancient Nordic ruin and then turn back on yourself, you can get quite an incredible view over most of southwest Skyrim. We have travelled south now to Hjalmarch Hold, and this is the first of 3 locations around the town of Morthal. On the edge of the river, at the base of the short pathway that leads up the hill to Chillwind Depths, the player will find an abandoned campsite. And what makes this place so interesting is the journal that can be found on the bedroll nearest to still smoking fire. This journal details attacks on caravans in the area and how gruesome the scenes were. It then goes on to state that they plan to find out who is behind these attacks and deal with them, and that they have found a trail which leads up into the hills. To discover the fate of these adventurers, the player only needs to head up the hill and into Chillwind Depths. If you do, I highly recommend searching for all notes and journals inside, as this location has ties to Ulfrolden and a missing father. While wandering near Kjenstad ruins close to the road that runs south, you may encounter a ghostly figure on the move at night. If you follow the figure, it will lead you east through the pine forest, and then north past the frozen pond, before finally turning east again and up the steep, snowy hill. You can't talk to the ghost or get it to stop, only follow it through the cold night. And eventually it will lead you to an old barrow before stopping. The barrow has 2 grave robbers attempting to steal its riches, who if they spot the player will attack on sight. Maybe the ghost was leading someone up here to hopefully deal with the grave robbers, who knows, but after disposing of them it will disappear. Sometimes you may need to unlock this trapdoor, but for me it was already open. It's a shame the ghost chose the Dragonborn to aid him, probably the biggest grave robber in all of Skyrim, because down here is some neat stuff including a random enchanted weapon and some jewellery. Our last location in Swampy Hjalmarch, and this one takes us closest to Morthal. To locate this one, all the player needs to do is turn a 180 from the settlement and head south up the path, and then east over this hill. Here you will find an ancient snow-covered burial mound which you can enter quite easily from above. Ready your weapon though, because you won't be alone in here. Thankfully it's only a weak skeleton. You can pick this place clean if you like, there are numerous urns and pots, even a skill book on the table over here, but the real treasure is on the west side though. A recommended place to come early on if you are playing as a mage type character. It's over here that you'll find an unfortunate necromancer, and on the floor a staff of Remnants. This is a powerful stave for any conjurer, which will allow you to reanimate a powerful dead body for 60 seconds. Come on conjurer, you're coming with me. Onto 3 locations within the Pale Hold, or Dawnstar if going by its main settlement, and I included this one in my list because it's right near a location I have visited so many times and up until recently never found. And this location must be visited many times because not only is it a word wall location, but it's also where one of the Dragon Priest masks can be found. What we're going to do is head north and then drop down this steep snowy embankment. When the ground flattens out, hidden half buried amongst some pine trees, is this curious skeleton, still clutching a shrine of Julianos. I hope Julianos is pleased with his devoted because it looks like he died clutching what is most precious to him. If you clamber up the rock face, you'll get more stunning views, and this time of the Lake Yorgrim basin below. And down there is a giant camp. This is where we are heading next because nearby will be the 8th location on my list. Here we are now on ground level facing Tumble Arch Pass, and up there is where we were just stood. To find the next location we need to head northeast down into the pine forest. If you stick close to the path, eventually you should find a large rock. Now just head east past the snowberry bush, and on the ground you will find the remains of some Dwemer masonry. Approach this site with caution though, because you will get a nice surprise from above. I can't remember what film it is, possibly Arachnophobia, but this reminded me of a scene where a load of spiders drop from above. Deal with the arachnids and then you can then claim what we came here for. Embedded within the ruins is a chest along with a random potion. Not a great location if you don't like frostbite spiders. Our final location in the Pale takes us closest to the settlement of Dawnstar. We are now stood facing the Dawnstar Sanctuary on the northern shoreline of the town. If the player heads east from this location, eventually after passing a group of hawkers, you'll find an animal skin tent erected, facing the water. The campsite seems long abandoned, judging by the fireplace. Inside you'll find 2 bedrolls, 2 pairs of boots, which is a worrying sign as you wouldn't pack up and leave without your footwear surely. There's also plenty of wine bottles, goblets, flowers, food and an amulet of Mara. Whichever couple spent the night here clearly enjoyed a night of romance. But what happened to them? I've scoured this shoreline and the water and I can't find traces of them anywhere. Potentially one of many tragedies involving lovers across Skyrim. Whilst we are on the subject of tragic lovers, let's explore the next location on my list. This one is within the boundaries of Winterhold, west of the city and directly south of Pilgrim's Trench. It looks like my game spawned in a dead frostbite spider. That was weird. But anyway, this is the location, an old campsite overlooking the Sea of Ghosts. Strangely, the fire is still lit at this one, even though the campsite is clearly much older than the one we just saw. The inhabitant of this campsite died a long time ago. But this is what makes this location interesting, this little note titled, "For Shelley." Whoever wrote this clearly cared deeply for Shelley, as they were concerned her ship was a few weeks late home and they feared the worst. They wrote this letter stating they would camp here and hope to see its return so they could be together again. Well, they were true to their word. They died right in this bedroll and Shelley clearly never returned. There is a shipwreck here in the water, but no traces of any bodies or anything. I wonder what happened to Shelley. Could this be the same ship, or is it just a coincidence and Shelley's vessel was lost elsewhere or out at sea? Either way, another tragic end for two lovers who never saw one another again. Past the halfway point now, and we are still within Winterhold. This next location is nestled between two of the darkest locations within Skyrim, Frostthrow Lighthouse and Ingvild. If you know, you know. To find this one from where I'm stood now, head north down onto the beachfront, and this place is easy to spot because the surrounding area is still on fire. It appears that a college apprentice named Xrib was trying to practice a spell here that went horribly wrong. Xrib is indeed one of the missing apprentices that Finis Gestor is looking for. On her corpse is a necklace which you can return to him to confirm her demise, but the real reason I would recommend coming here is the spellbook. This is a guaranteed way of getting the Flame Cloak spell as early as level 1. Great if you are role-playing as an offensive mage type character. But yeah, cast it more carefully than Xrib did, because this isn't how I'd want to go out. Still within sight of Ingvild, and just south of the Tower Stone is the 12th location in my list of unmarked locations. To access this, you are best coming from the north, up the shallower side of the rock face. Up here you'll find a half-buried skeleton encased in the iceberg, its hand still clutching the flagpole that it erected here. I thought this was an eerie location, it was so quiet. The only movement was the old flag still fluttering in the breeze. At this location you'll find another skill book and then a chest containing random assorted loot. I do really like this northern shoreline along the Sea of Ghosts. There's so much stuff to find around here, and you wouldn't think it's so considering how desolate and inhospitable it is. It's packed with treasures to find, especially when you compare it with the northwest shoreline where we started, and then the northeast one along this coastline here. Our fourth and final location now within Winterhold, and most of any hold within this list. What Winterhold lacks in other areas, it certainly makes up for in unmarked sites. This one is quite an unnerving place. This is the Sightless Pit of Falmaden, located south of the city. Perched atop Sightless Pit is an ancient Dwemer sacrificial altar, and judging by the piles of bones everywhere, this place was well used. Among the bones are a skill book and various offerings. If you disturb anything on the sacrificial altar, 3 skeletons will be raised, 2 from the piles of bones below, plus the one on the altar. There's not a huge lot else up here, but it's a freaky location nonetheless. The 14th location in my list is the only location I've included from the Reach, or Marketh, but this one puzzled me for a long time to its purpose. The easiest way to find this one is to head to the small mining settlement of Carth Waston, and then travel west through the settlement, and then head up the hill towards the shrine of Periite. Up here, hidden among the scrubland, is an old totem pole, or shrine of some sort. Normally there will be an animal here, so dispatch of that first. The purpose of this dragon totem appears to be quite sinister. At first I thought it was a sacrificial altar, based on what looked like chains or cuffs towards the top of the totem. The body of this wood elf though, this looks like it could be a suicide, based on the poison or the dagger that is left here. There are all sorts of offerings from a diamond to potions. I don't think it has anything to do with the wolf, I think that is just an opportunistic scavenger that fed on one of the bodies. If you know for definite what this location is, please let me know your thoughts in the comments. The first of 2 locations in Whiterun Hold now, and this one is at its far western edge. We are stood facing Talking Stone Camp now. From here, if you turn and head east down to the river, you should come across a waterfall. On the rocky outcrop in the centre of the pool, directly below the waterfall, is a body. If you approach the body, it is simply named Alchemist. I have a few theories as to how he died here. Either he was really allergic to the nirnroot he was farming and died of anaphylactic shock, or maybe it had something to do with the vampire dust on his possession. Either way, an unfortunate place to go. Number 16 on my list now, and we are stood outside of Fort Greymore, a location probably well known due to its proximity to Whiterun City. I bet this next location isn't as well known though. If you have found this one before, well done. Let's head northwest and go on a little treasure hunt. You'll know if you're going the right way if you pass this little pool. From here just keep heading up over the rock face and through these trees. I'll just deal with this saber cat. Skyrim's developers really had a thing for skeletons and dying either clinging to or in close proximity of their treasure. Perched next to a tree here is another skeleton, still clutching the strongbox they so clearly coveted. Oh well, I'll pick this and take its contents back to Breeze home. Lydia, look, another flawless emerald to add to your growing collection of burdens. I'd wager this next location is one of the most well known in this list, but I wanted to include it anyway as it made the shortlist for my first video and I cut it out. This one is located in the southern eastern edge of the sulphur pools in Eastmarch. This is of course the Mourning Giant. His mammoth has succumbed to death and lies on the edge of the pool whilst the giant looks over his furry friend. We feel you, buddy, no words are needed. Number 18 now, and the only location I've included from the Rift. If you're heading westward on this road towards Iverstead, chances are you have passed this next location. Just off the road here is a small encampment consisting of a tent, cooking pot and a smoking fire. Located on one of the barrels here is a note simply titled Note, and it reads, "Go to the island near the edge of the lake. Look for where a great tree once stood. This is where I buried it." Oh good, more treasure. You don't have to travel far as this is the island and tree stump here. The treasure hunters beat us to it, but thankfully they did all the hard work and dug it up. They will attack you on sight, not wanting you to steal their precious booty. Dispatch of them and then you can claim it as yours. I wasn't so lucky this time, just 32 gold, yikes. Better luck next time I guess. Penultimate location on this list now, and one of two locations in Falkreath Hold. We are stood outside of South Fringe Sanctum, and from here we need to head north down the hill. If you have Anniversary Edition installed, this is now the location of probably one of the most annoying quests added. This one, the Rising Dead. Honestly, don't do this one as it just leads to endless attacks from really high level hordes of zombies. But what I am about to show you is what was originally here, and still is. First, let's just deal with all the zombies. Now that it's taken care of, this is what I wanted to show you. Sat against this tree is a really unfortunate Nord. I assume it was a Nord, executed with an axe still embedded in the tree trunk. We have more treasure to look through though, more skill books and more assorted stuff within the chest. Last on my list isn't technically an unmarked location, as it exists within the destroyed town of Helgen, but I wanted to include it in my list as I think it's a great addition by Bethesda. It relates to a line from the opening scene of Skyrim when you travel down to Helgen as a prisoner. Remember this tower? It's the first place we enter after Alduin interrupts our execution. If you return here after the town's destruction, you'll find something new. Look at the name of these mead bottles. There are 5 here in total and these do respawn. Mead with juniper berries. This is where I'm going to end my video on 20 more unmarked locations in Skyrim. I've said it before in other videos that I think environmental storytelling in Skyrim was really well done. There is so much lore to uncover if you spend the time to look for it, so many little details and breadcrumbs that tie people and places together, and I especially love this last detail because it's something every Skyrim player will have heard reference to, even if they didn't pick up on it. It's a bittersweet moment because it once again highlights the brutal reality of Skyrim, a life that was snuffed out before our own Skyrim story even began. Even though we the Dragonborn never met her, she's significant because this woman was an old sweetheart of the first person that speaks to us on the road down to Helgen, Ralof. And that is the end of my list of 20 more of my favourite unmarked locations in Skyrim. How many of these did you know about? Are there any that you like that I didn't include in my list? Let me know in the comments below. I'm Mike the Gaming Dad, thank you for watching my video and I'll see you next time.